Time for a little DPL. Dennis Phillips live, DENIS. I got to go to my address book. All right, let me pick up the phone. 7272. All right, calling up Dennis Phillips live right now. We're set for 8:30.
What's up?
DPL, Dennis Phillips live on the MJ Morning Show. Hey, Dennis, good morning.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
We're going well here. And listen, people love to hear from you. You offer comfort, knowledge, information. Your suspenders are mesmerizing.
Hey, I got a question for you. I want your guys' advice on this.
Yes.
Okay.
All right?
I love giving advice.
So tonight at 7 o'clock, I'm going to be doing a DPL, and it's actually going to be on broadcast on our channel as well as streaming. You know, normally it's just streaming and my Facebook page and whatnot, but it's going to be an hour-long DPL where it's actually on broadcast television. My question, do you think I can still wear my hoodie if it's on broadcast TV like I always do on DPL, or do I need to wear the suspenders?
You know, this is really a good question. So let me paint the picture for the audience. When you see Dennis Phillips on TV, he is wearing his nice dress shirt tucked into nice slacks. He has a nice tie on, and of course, he has the signature suspenders on each side of the tie. What Dennis is asking is he changes his garb up. When he does DPL, Dennis Phillips Live, which is on YouTube streaming, on Facebook streaming, on that, he's not wearing the dress clothes. He puts on one of his Dennis Phillips Live, rule number 7 hoodies. So he's very casual. So your question is, if you're going to be doing a DPL that's actually going to be covered and carried live on Channel 28 tonight, can you go to the DPL usual garb, or do you have to do the dress garb?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, do I have a Diet Dr. Pepper sitting next to me like I always do? I don't know. I'm
okay.
kind of torn on this.
Dennis.
Yeah, what, Fester?
Dennis, my instant reaction is you got to be true to what DPL is.
Yeah, you know what? I'm leaning that way as well.
If DPL is you and a Dr. Pepper and a hoodie, if that's the broadcast, if that's the show, it doesn't matter what platform it ever airs on.
Yeah.
You stay true to what that show is. Now, the 11 o'clock news.
I agree with you.
The 11 o'clock news is the 11 o'clock news. You're always in your suit. You're always in your
No, it's not a suit. He doesn't wear a jacket. It's not a suit. He's wearing a nice shirt.
You're always in your little get-up.
Yeah.
You're always wearing your suspenders. You're wearing your tie. You know,
Yeah.
But if you're going to do DPL in whatever form it's being broadcasted in, you got to be true to it.
Hey, Dennis,
I'm gonna disagree.
does your news director have any say in the matter?
I've not heard yet. I'm sure I will at some point.
Dennis,
I
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Roxanne.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the other side. I think you need to do suspenders because I feel like your news audience, that's their comfort level. I'm a huge DPL hoodie fan. I really am. But I feel like when you go to the other medium and you include that, then it might like distract from the message or something. I don't know. I feel like you need to go with your suspenders and your traditional. Just giving you the other side.
No, keep your art true.
I mean, we'll see. We'll find out.
I'm with Fester. I think you do. It's DPL that you're, because DPL is the vehicle, and they're carrying DPL on regular broadcast Channel 28.
Okay.
So I think you got to be DPL.
How about suspenders over the hoodie?
That's what I was thinking.
Make everybody happy.
All right, so Dennis, where are we? I was expecting that maybe with the 8 a.m. or 7 Central Time intermediate forecast, they might jam it to Hurricane Helene. However, it's still just shy. It's still a tropical storm.
Yeah, bumped up to 70 though. So I mean, it's right there, and I'm sure at 11 o'clock it'll be a hurricane. MJ knows he usually watches the 11 o'clock news. It was a really kind of an interesting setup last night. So every TV station, well, the majority of the TV stations, put it that way, use the modeling data through a company called the Weather Company. It used to be called WSI. And they kind of got taken over, whatever, by IBM years ago. And IBM started creating its own models. And one of those models is called the graph model, GRAF. And it's some places call it their network model. Some places call it their in-house model. It's all the same model. It's just spin, right? And last night at 11 o'clock, just before 11, we got an update on that model. And I'll be honest, it's updated every hour, so you don't really look at every single update because it's usually about the same. And all of a sudden, I looked, and it was bringing winds of like 131 miles an hour to Cedar Key, which is just one county up from Citrus County, Levy County.
Yes,
right?
Levy,
It's
yep.
just,
Yep.
west of Gainesville, right? And I'm like, whoa, what in the world? And in doing so, it increased the winds dramatically in our northern counties, in Citrus and Hernando.
Right.
And I'm looking at it, I'm like, what in the world is going on? And, I looked at it, and it was bringing landfall. It was bringing the eye of this thing right into Cedar Key,
Yeah.
which is massively farther east than what the NHC had at 11 and what the majority of the models also had. And yet there were some people posting that run, and I don't know. I look at things a little bit differently, and everybody has their own opinion. To me, what's the point of posting a model run that you don't believe in? I get it. There's some people say, look, I want to give everything I can, and then let people decide what they want to look at and what they want to know, everything that's going on. For me personally, when a storm is 24 hours out, 36 hours out, you start seeing a model run like that, all of a sudden you're confused as to which one you should show. It's a really interesting debate, and there's a lot of people out there that show everything, and that's on them.
Do we know why this model run, and was it an outlier, and was it erroneous? What do we know about that run?
I have no idea it's why it did what it did. I mean, look, I think we all kind of know storms can always move more to the east.
Listen, Dennis, I am not comfortable until that damn thing passes our latitude. That's
100%.
I'm still weary right now because we saw Charlie coming right at us in 04 and it turned into Charlotte Harbor. I mean, crap can happen. The modeling, the computer power has gotten much greater in the last 20 years. Their tracking is pretty accurate these days, but still I'm sitting here right now, I'm still a little weary.
Yeah, I agree 100%, but I also say the other argument is if you believe that the other forecast is right, if your forecast is whatever it is, why would you then show, other than just to cover your butt, I don't know, why would you show something that is blatantly, extremely different from what everything else is? And I have issues with it a little bit, but yet the other side of it is, look, we want to show you everything there is possible, and then you guys decide what you want to believe in. But I don't know. Is that their job to come up with their own conclusion, or is it their job to the best case scenario at that point? I don't know. It's an interesting conversation. But anyway, when I saw that, I'm like, whoa!
Yeah.
Literally, it was like 5 minutes of 11 that came out.
Wow.
And I ended up not going with it, wondering if the NHC at 5 a.m. was going to start bumping their forecast a little bit more to the right.
But actually, hasn't some of the model runs moved a little more west?
Yes. Correct. That's my point.
Yep.
Yeah, they moved even a little more the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So an erroneous run, or whatever you want to call it, it certainly appears, at least right now.
See, but this is where your expertise comes in, and you've been doing this for, 40-plus years, that you can sort of detect something that doesn't smell right.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I would hope that most people would do. So it's, the end result is, but you're right, until it passes our latitude, you never know for sure. It's Florida. But to answer your original question, the track is still, and I'll tell you something else, this has been now 2.5 days. How many of us have looked over the years, and I'd be willing to bet every single one of us raises our hand, how many of us have looked at a forecast track in 4 or 5 days and said, well, if it's forecast to be there in 5 days, we know it's not going to be, because it's never where it's supposed to be in 5 days.
Yep.
It always moves. I mean, that's just the mindset. This track has not budged for like 2.5 days.
Why is that? Why is it that we always see shifts and fluctuations this far out? Why is it that this one, the model's locked into? And even you'll see some of these, for instance, I found this model, which I love. It's this Oklahoma University model, and it has it seems like 200 different, it's the most spaghetti strands I've ever seen, and they're all tightly compacted, and they have been for days. What is it about this storm that it's so predictable that far out on where they think the track is? Why is this different?
Well, Yeah, the model thing is predictable. Hopefully, we believe it. I mean, if you live in the Panhandle, you're hoping it goes somewhere else. If you live in our area, boy, that's always a tough thing. You go out there and you're like, oh, okay, we feel better that it's going to miss us. But if it's in the Gulf of Mexico, if it misses us, it's going to hit somebody else.
Yep.
So
It's got to exit somewhere. All right, Dennis, let's timeline this. From right now, let's talk about as it rolls through the middle of the Gulf, as it continues on its projected path, because right now it looks like it's going to roll right over FSU.
Yeah. To answer your question quickly, big area of high pressure off to the east, big area of low pressure trough digging in from the west. It's just doing what we expected, exactly what it's supposed to do. And we all know in weather that doesn't always happen. I mean, you can even say maybe that doesn't usually happen. Has the technology improved? Yes. Has the computer modeling improved? Yes. Is it right more often than not? Yes, although people don't believe that. But, at the end of the day is what's happening is it's just the players in the game are doing exactly as forecast, and so that's why the models are showing it as is. In terms of the timing,
yeah, when does it get bad? Are we looking at rain and wind beginning later tonight?
okay, yes, it's going to start being breezy and a little gusty tonight, but a couple of things. If you live east of I-75, yes, this is a large storm. It absolutely is in terms of size. Right now, tropical storm force winds extend 175 miles out from that center. All right, so do the math. If it's going to probably get bigger, but let's say it goes as much as 225 miles. All right, if the center of that storm is 100 to 125 miles west of our coastline, then that means, obviously, do the math. Those tropical storm force winds extend 100 miles inland. So most of the state will see tropical storm force winds, but it's obvious the outer part of that storm is going to give you weaker winds than stuff closer to the center. It's obvious. So if you live east of I-75, you are not going to have the impacts that you're going to have on the coast, not even close. And most of the wind, the hurricane force winds, it's not a hurricane yet, but my gut tells me usually with this kind of a storm, you'll see hurricane force winds extend maybe 80 to 100 miles out from the center. But the worst of the winds, we're talking the extreme winds. When you get those numbers that come in, maximum sustained winds are whatever they are, usually those winds are only in about a 5 or 10 mile area from that center, sometimes as much as 20, but only 5 or 10 is where most of the eye wall winds are. And that's not going to be based on the current track anywhere near the Bay Area. So, and honestly, it's usually only about 5 to 10 miles from landfall.
But the entire Bay Area and really almost the entire Florida Peninsula is in like the yellow mapping, which gives us the tropical storm force winds of 39 plus. And we will feel that most likely here.
We will. We absolutely will. And the timing of that mostly is in the afternoon and the evening. Now,
that is tomorrow. So Thursday afternoon and evening, correct?
Yeah, the Hurricane Center is saying the most likely time of wind arrival of tropical storm force winds are between tropical storm, which is 40 plus, is 8 a.m. in our southern counties, 8 p.m. in northern Florida, and then somewhere in between as you go south to north. So probably Sarasota County, 8 a.m., Tampa, 10 a.m., Hernando County, noon, in terms of maximum sustained winds of 40 miles an hour or greater. That's kind of what we're thinking. But the worst of the wind, and again, this is not a slow mover like Debbie. This thing's going to fly. It's going to move. In 12 hours, it's going to move from South Florida all the way into Georgia.
Huh.
So the good thing
is this thing hauling at like, 25, 30 miles an hour?
It will be.
Yeah.
It will be by tomorrow. And that means that's good news in terms of a rainmaker. It is not going to be a massive rainmaker because it's not going to have time to dump the kind of rain that Debbie did. The reason Debbie brought us so much rain is because you had bands sit over a certain area for like 20 hours, right? This one is not going to be anything close to that. It's going to be a totally different system, much faster. So I would expect some significant power outages tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, and then it's out of here by 11 o'clock at night in terms of the wind. So the worst of it is probably 2 to 3 p.m. until 9 p.m. for our area. For the Panhandle, obviously the worst of it would be more late afternoon, early evening. Landfall is pushed back a little bit. Originally, landfall, they were going around 7 or 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Now the landfall is closer to 11 o'clock tomorrow night.
Gotcha. All right, let's talk surge because one of the big concerns is surge, and that's going to be even a later event, most likely.
Yeah, that's well. It also, it questions whether it coincides with high tide or not. But the slash model numbers that are coming in, which is just a model specifically designed for surge prediction, is more between 9 p.m. and 1 a.m. Thursday. Now, there might be some water push earlier, but remember, you talked about when a storm passes latitudinally our area. That's exactly the same when those winds turn around. We get more of an onshore flow once the storm has passed our.
So to simplify, it's pushing the water from the Gulf to our shores.
Yep. And with a counterclockwise flow, that doesn't happen until the storm has passed us. So once the storm passes where you are, that's when the winds gradually turn onshore, and that's when it starts to push the water in. It makes a lot of sense if you think about a counterclockwise spin. And once it passes us, the winds turn around out of the southwest, and then they build, and then that pushes in from the Gulf. And one other thing that is so important. So, we all say if you hide from the wind, you run from the water. If you had flooding with Adalia, if you had flooding with Ada, you're going to have flooding with this one. When you look at those numbers, right, those numbers that the Hurricane Center put out, they're not just arbitrary numbers. I mean, those numbers that everybody shows them, they are officially numbers from the Hurricane Center with what their peak surge is forecast. What those numbers mean, by definition, they are the worst, they are the most reasonable worst case scenario. Those are words that mean a lot. Those numbers that you see, 5 to 8 in the Bay, up, higher up to the north, those are the most reasonable worst case scenario. Now, my experience has shown me that over the years, the worst case scenario, the number on the right, is one that we don't often see. We do occasionally, but we don't often see it. But they're given those because they want people to know, look, this is as bad as it could be. You have to decide if you want to evacuate based on how bad the worst case scenario would be.
So what is your guess? So let's say Gulf Beaches, Pinellas County, south to Manatee, Sarasota, north toward Pasco and Citrus and Hernando counties. And then also the exposure of Tampa Bay along Pinellas inside of Tampa Bay, Hillsborough County, South Tampa. What do you think? What do you think we're actually going to see? Your best guess, doing this for years and years, what kind of surge do you think we'll see?
Well, when their forecast is 5 to 8, and they say the worst case scenario is 8, usually the way it plays out is we get closer. There's a couple of spots, maybe isolated spots, that we'll see up to 8, but the majority would see the 5 to 6.
Okay.
That's usually the way it plays. But I want your listeners to hear this really clearly. If you live in an area where you're concerned about surge and an 8-foot surge would inundate where you live or possibly cause damage to your home or yourself, you want to get out of there. I mean, you can't mess with water. You just can't. I mean, there's nothing you can hide in the closet. You can hide from the wind. You aren't hiding from the water. So the answer to your question is, typically, and the way I'm forecasting is for the overwhelming majority of the area, I usually use the bottom number plus 1.5 feet as the average number that they're going to get. But every now and again, there's going to be a few spots that are going to be closer to that higher end. And of course, those are the ones that we have to concern ourselves most with, because if it's you don't want
Right.
you don't want to hear us say, "Hey, we're on the low end." Well, we got to the high end, so everybody's got it. Look, we're all adults. You try to hold people by the hand as much as they can to get them through a storm, but at some point you got to take accountability.
Yeah,
for
listen.
your actions and what you're doing.
Exactly. Listen, if you've been here for a while, you know the areas that are prone to flooding, the areas that are prone to surge. If you are new to the area, ask questions, look and see what other people are doing, and then and pay attention to emergency management in your city, your county. Go to their websites, watch television, listen to radio, and you'll get the information. Now, something on a personal note, Dennis, and you broke this really on our show yesterday morning. You were on with us at 7:30 yesterday, and a little personal insight. Dennis revealed, I think for the first time in any broadcast medium, that you told your son to leave FSU in Tallahassee and come back to Palm Harbor.
Yeah, and he came home last night. I did. If this track is right, Tallahassee's going to get crushed. They just are. And if you have kids that live in dorms, those dorms aren't going anywhere. Those dorms are solid. I mean, they might lose power. I don't know how the power grid works on the universities. Same with FAMU. The dorms they are big brick buildings, and it's like the big bad wolf. You ain't going to blow down that big brick building. It's just not going to happen. So they're going to be okay. But we talked about this yesterday. With apartment complexes, you don't know how they're built. And there are certainly some apartment complexes, I think, that are built better than others. So I was
Well, just look at Dennis, look at the construction around town. When you drive around, you'll see some houses and buildings made out of block, and you'll see some like 3- and 4-story apartment complexes that are made completely out of wood, plywood and 2x4s, and clearly those are not going to be built anywhere near as well as, a block structure.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't worth taking a chance. And I wasn't going to go on and, we talked about this too. I wasn't going to go on and tell people, I'm telling you to bring your kids home or to move your kids because, God forbid, what if they had a traffic accident and something happened to them on the way leaving? I mean, those things enter my mind when I talk even reference evacuations. So I can't do that, but I can say what the weather's going to be like in those areas. And I didn't want my son with 120 mile an hour winds. Because I think they absolutely legitimately Tallahassee would get 120 mile an hour winds if this storm follows that track that's forecast. That's unlike anything that they've seen. They have never seen that.
Speaking of Florida State University and your son coming home, and I'm glad he arrived safely. Rick is our operations manager here. His son is a freshman, just moved into his dorm at FSU back in August. And Rick heard you say that your son's coming home. Rick's son's also our operations manager here. His son also drove home as well.
Well, look, I think the dorms are okay. I do. But I just, not only that, even if the integrity of the building is okay, there's going to be trees down everywhere. There's going to be power outages everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't want to be in that.
Yeah.
I mean, again, based on the current track. I mean, I'm hopeful that maybe it goes a little bit more right where it's more rural because, over by Steinhatchee and areas similar, west of Perry, because Perry got hit so hard last year with the Dahlia. There are some areas in that vicinity that are pretty rural, and there's not a lot on the coast, and there's not a lot inland. So, maybe we get a track that's a little bit more to the right and it has less of an impact on people. But if this track is right, MJ, Tallahassee is going to get crushed. And it is going to be unlike anything that they have ever seen that we have record of.
Yeah, there was a video that I saw. They had a bad thunderstorm and some 100-year-old grand oak fell near one of the state buildings a couple of weeks ago. So you got tons of these live oaks, these grand old oaks up there
with really shallow roots.
Yeah. So, Dennis, listen, it's always great to have you on. I appreciate the time that you give us and our listeners here on the MJ Morning Show on 104.7 FM, Q105. So, Denis Phillips Live will be, usually it's just streaming after the 6 o'clock news. Dennis comes on, 7 to 8 typically, Dennis?
Yeah, well, typically we have a newscast from 7 to 7:30 that I do, and then DPL goes 7:30 until like 8:15, 8:30, whatever.
Exactly.
But we're going to preempt the newscast today, and we're just going to have an hour-long DPL, and it's designed the same exact format where I'm going to be answering questions. I'm just going to be kind of going over my thoughts and that same exact format. So,
all right, Dennis,
we'll see what I decide to.
Thank you. You got a busy 36 hours here. And we'll talk to you tomorrow morning on the MJ Morning Show.
All right, sounds good. See you guys. Be safe.
I'll see you later tonight on the special DPL at 7 p.m. on Channel 28. Thank you, Dennis.
All right, thanks, guys. Bye.
All right, here we go. Denis Phillips, Chief Meteorologist, ABC Action News. Hope you liked the video. If you did, then hit the like, share, subscribe, all this crap down here.